like that. So you think that marrying into a pastor's family is going to be a safe heaven. I tell you what, there are so many shocking realities. Things you will see and your mouth is like agape and like, is this real or you are dreaming? Things you can't imagine that they would happen even in an ordinary quote and unquote nominal Christian homes and families. Hi, I am Kegod. Welcome back to the Gym Network. This is the Gym Network. How have you all been doing? I suppose you are doing very well. Thank God for your life. So, being married to a pastor's child, whether it's a man or a woman. So, child here encompasses the female or the male gender. Now, it's a common knowledge that as soon as one introduces him or herself as a pastor, some certain level of respect and regard is being given to such a person. The reason being that a lot of persons have so much regard on that name or the word pastor. Not forgetting the fact that we have good pastors and bad pastors. Bad pastors because they decided to call themselves, whereas good pastors because the gift was actually given to them. And in all sincerity, pastor is one of the fivefold ministry in the church. According to the book of Ephesians chapter 4 and from verse 10, to some he gave apostles, to some prophets, to some evangelists, to some pastors, and to some teachers. But in all of this fivefold ministry, you get to understand that that one of the pastor encompasses every other. A pastor can actually be an evangelist, can be a teacher, can be a prophet, can also be an apostle. But for some, the other parts, they can't be a pastor. The work of a pastor encompasses so much. It is not all about the office. That is, a pastor or pastorship is not about the office or a position. It has to do with life. Because a pastor teaches, a pastor encourages, a pastor takes humans under him. He is in charge of counseling when it has to do with, be it maritally and any other thing. It is that person that every other person in the congregation and even outside the congregation tends to run to, and he gives his shoulder for them to lean on and cry, listens to them. So you get to understand that the work and the gift, including the office of a pastor, is a very tasking one. And because of that, a lot of people respect not just that position, but the person occupying this position, which is not an ordinary position, but a gift that has been given for the edification of the church. So, a pastor is that person or a priest that is in charge of a church in the Christendom. So when we talk about pastor, we are not just talking about anyhow. We are talking about in the Christendom. Now, I am not concentrating on pastor, but I decided to give this background for us to refresh our memory of what it entails to be a pastor. Because before now, a lot of people just assume or think that a pastor is just occupying a position. No. Pastoring is actually a gift. And that is why when that person or persons who doesn't have this gift, who have decided to call in themselves because they decide to go to a theological school to be a minister in charge of a parish or parishes under them, begin to misbehave, you don't get offended. You just get to understand that this person doesn't have this gift. If you want to know more about the pastorship, I have done videos on the pastor, the minister, the bishop. Just check it on my channel for you to understand much more better. Back to our major focus, which is being married to a pastor's child. Whether you are admiring or desiring to be married to either a pastor's son or a pastor's daughter, or you are already married to, there are some assumptions that some persons have pertaining to a pastor and the children of a pastor. To some persons, it is not something they want to hear. As soon as one appears and said, "Hi, I'm interested in you, I want to marry you," and all of that, and the person gets to know that that person is a pastor's son, it turns them off. they vehemently and sincerely tells them, I'm not interested. I'm not talking about being a pastor itself and going to approach a woman that I want to marry you. Some people doesn't also like it. You're a pastor? Say yes, I can't deal. That is how it is also with some persons. You're a pastor's son and they get to know about it. The relationship ends. You're a pastor's daughter, they get to know about it. The relationship ends. Not because of any other thing, but because individual differences. Some doesn't just want to have anything to do with that word, pastor. When you ask them, they say it's just too much. They feel they are not capable. They are not the kind of people that will fit into such kind of a shoe. They see it as a very mighty shoe to be associated with such. Whereas to some others, oh, it's a beautiful thing. They desire it, they pray for it, and when such an opportunity comes, whoop, I am a pastor's son. They go on. They accept such proposals, and the journey starts. Whether it's a male or a female. So forgetting the fact that the man, the pastor, is a human that got the gift of being what? A pastor. So beside being a pastor, he is also what? Human. So there are some traits in him that may be transmitted or transferred to his children. And there are some traits that the children may not also want to go on with. Whereas there are some traits that the children will want to inherit. So some of the assumptions of people that wants to get married to a pastor's child or being married into the pastor's family is that they suppose that a pastor's family is a perfect family. So let's take them one after the other. Number one is that most pastors' children are not what you think they are. And I will explain. In terms of their belief system, their choices, the choices they make about life and every other thing, their character, and some homekeeping etiquettes. That is the truth. And because the society has placed so much regard on the pastor, they also expect so much from the pastor children. I've also done a video that has to do with a pastor's child. Just check them out and watch them. Now, in terms of belief system, everybody believes that a pastor's child or pastor's children will automatically become a hard believer of what their parents have believed in, and that is God Almighty. Believing in God, in Jesus Christ, and the works that has been done via salvation. But I bust your bubble. It is not always the truth. So don't be surprised when you get married to a pastor's son or a pastor's daughter and you notice that this person is doing something upside down. You are wondering, why? But this person is a pastor's son, but this person is a pastor's daughter. So that is to tell you that what you think of them is not actually whom they are. Now, when it comes to making a choice, some pastors' children have 1 to 0% of choice-making abilities. They just go with. Is it going with the flow? Some tend to go with the flow. Some just live their life just like that. And you know that choices in life matters a lot. Some pastors' children doesn't have choice to tell themselves, this is the kind of life I want to live. I want to live a life different from the life my father is living. I want to live a life different from the life my mother is living. When it comes to this aspect of my father, I don't want to have it with me. When it comes to this aspect of my mother, I don't want to have anything to do with it. I just want to live my life this way because this way is befitting to me. Some don't have that. They don't have anything to do with choice. What I'm trying to say is that everything and anything goes, which is totally wrong, and something that will be very, very like wowing that a pastor's child will behave like that. When it comes to homekeeping etiquettes, some pastors' children or most pastors' children are terrible in homekeeping etiquettes. For the fact that he is a pastor's son does not mean he's going to have a perfect marriage. Yes. For the fact that she is a pastor's daughter doesn't mean that she's going to be a very beautiful wife or a homekeeper, vice versa. So you don't judge the pastor's child based on what you know the father to be. For the life of me, the truth of the matter is that most of these pastors, you only know their life on the pulpit, right? Have you followed them home? Do you know what their personal life is like? Most of us don't know until you get to mingle with them. So when you see the pastor blasting, you believe that the whole of the children are like that. When the pastor preaches some messages and everybody's woo, hallelujah, you think he is like that at home. You don't know what he and his wife and children are. The pastor gives encouragement, gives counseling that are so helpful to you, and you think that is how it is with him and his children. And so because of that, you feel marrying either a pastor's son or a pastor's daughter, everything is okay. So that's point number one, that most people assume that pastors' children are perfect. Secondly, most pastors' children are judged using the parameter their fathers or mothers outside their good or bad behavior. So, some pastors, like I said before now, some pastors are good, knowing that is their gift. Whereas some are bad, those ones you know that they call themselves. So, from the parameter of the ones that are bad, when the son of such a person comes to approach a person, I'm talking about the persons that have known these ones before the relationship will start, they tend to turn it down because his father is so and so, his mother is so and so, just because they are your pastors in the church. And some other people will just accept the proposal because the pastor is a good person, because the pastor's wife is also a good person. So you judge based on that, forgetting that you are supposed to concentrate on this person you want to have a relationship with, whether it's a daughter or the son. So stop judging pastors' children based on the parameter of their father or their parents, even though when it comes to training, a lot is expected from the pastor and his wife, just like it is in every other home. But I tell you what, majority of the pastors tend to train and keep other people's home intact than their own home. So we have so many messy pastors' home, and then their children are also affected. But that notwithstanding, always remember, I mentioned it before now, that they are what? Humans. Some people see and think it's a safe haven to get married into a pastor's family via their sons or their daughters, only for them to get into that family and meet with a shocking realities of their life. So it's okay to desire something good, but it is not okay for you to hang on the perimeter of humans. Just depend purely on God. I tell you the truth. It is not what you will want to be shocked about because of so much regard that is being placed on the pastors. And you think that their family is like that. So you think that marrying into a pastor's family is going to be a safe haven. I tell you what, there are so many shocking realities. Things you will see and your mouth is like agape and like, is this real or you are dreaming? Things you can't imagine that they would happen even in an ordinary quote and unquote nominal Christian homes and families. You tend to see them in a minister's home. You think that when you get married to a pastor's son or daughter, your mother-in-law is going to be is absolutely a pure and perfect person. Your father-in-law is absolutely a pure and perfect father-in-law. Your sisters and brothers-in-law are just perfect because you believe that by the virtue of their father being a minister in the ministry alongside with their mother moving with this man from one place to another, you will think and believe, it is common, everybody will want to assume that. I also have always assumed that. You think and believe that what this man, the pastor, stand for, that has been preaching over the years, have seeped into the mother, which is the wife, and the children, only for you to be married into that family and you get the shock of your life. Because you will think that, it is a safe haven. Automatically, my father-in-law is God. My mother-in-law is God. No, don't think that. Because the reality will shock you. So I'm saying all of this to prepare your mind in case you are preparing, you are desiring that you want to get married either to a pastor himself or a pastor's child, or either the son or the daughter. Please do away with all of these beliefs and assumptions. Just open your heart and understand that they are humans and they can even be worse than the nominal or normal Christians. So don't place so much high regard so that you will not be disappointed by the time you enter. And if you are already into a marriage, you are being married into, if you're already married into a family of a pastor, where you have your sister and brother-in-laws, very lovable people, I salute you. If you are married into a pastor's family where everything you are seeing is shocking realities, congratulations to you, because you are also a strong woman and a strong man to know that every individual is different. And I'm sure by now, all of your assumptions and everything you have thought you will meet, they are all gone. And you are facing the reality of life, thinking on how you can work it together and have a perfect and beautiful home, even though we are working towards perfection, right? Now, the next point will be that the pastor's child could be totally different. When I say totally different, I mean the exact opposite of his or her father. Talking about that, the lifestyle and the belief of the father. I think I mentioned it before now, but I have to bring it back here again to make it more open. What I'm trying to say is that being a pastor's child does not automatically make you a pastor. Hello? Nor does it make anyone a good husband or a good wife. I hope you understand that. So because that man you are getting married into, or the man you got married to is a pastor's son, does not mean that he is automatically a pastor. If he doesn't have that gift of being a pastor, he won't be a pastor. If she doesn't have that gift, if that gift have not been given to her to be a pastor, she won't be a pastor. That he or she is a pastor's child doesn't mean that he's going to be a good husband or a good wife. I've mentioned the point earlier on before now, saying that being a pastor's child doesn't mean that they are going to be good homekeepers. So in all in all, it is a matter of choice. That is why you see a lot of GOs in Nigeria. I'm mentioning Nigeria because this is where we have so many numbers of churches, where you have a lot of people owning churches and branches, and they indoctrinate their children to take after them. Not forgetting the fact that pastorship is a calling, is a gift. And so they feel that because they are pastors, their children are going to be pastors. And we have a lot of things being messed up. So please, bro, you want to get married to a pastor's daughter, all of this should be at the front of your mind, not at the back of your mind. That will not guarantee that she's going to be a good wife, that she's going to be well behaved, that she is in total control of her choices, that she has the same belief that her father believes. Or, let me put it in a plain language, that she's a believer, that she's born again, or he's a born again. No. Every pastor's child is not born again. Yes. So it is a matter of choice. So, these are the things it entails to be a pastor's child's wife or husband. So, if you're desiring to be married into the family of a pastor, thinking that is a safe haven for you, please erase that, because you're going to meet shocking realities of life that you may be disappointed. So that's why I'm telling you this, to prepare your mind, so that by the time you get in there, you'll say, yes, thank God that somebody already told me about this. So erase all of those things, knowing fully well that before a man becomes a pastor, before he gets the gift of being a pastor, he has been a human, right? So there is life outside the church. There is life outside the pulpit that you don't know. The only one you know is the one happening in the pulpit. So congratulations to you if you want to be married to a pastor's son or daughter. And I sign out.